Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, don't cringe. This will not be a political speech. It's about the science. Global warming is all about energy. Since it's energy that determines the temperature, which is simply the average heat content of an object. Over the next several minutes, I'd like you to consider and think about 3 connected facts about energy, which together define the basis for global warming and climate on Earth. Over the next, point number one, Earth receives incoming energy from the sun in the form of visible sunlight. Point number 2, Earth loses energy to space in the form of invisible infrared radiation. And point number 3, there is a balance between this incoming sunlight energy and the outgoing infrared energy that determines Earth's average heat content and therefore the climate. Point 1, Earth receives energy from the sun. Well, if the Earth's heat energy content determines its temperature, then we need to know where the Earth is getting its energy from. Well, the Earth gets most of its energy from sunlight, visible sunlight that comes to the surface. And most of this incoming sunlight energy is absorbed by either the air in the atmosphere, water in the oceans, or solid objects on the land like rocks, soil, or plants. When sunlight energy is absorbed, it warms the object absorbing it. Recall the last time you touched a surface warmed by the sun or felt your skin warmed by sunlight. However, not all of this incoming sunlight bound for the Earth is absorbed by the Earth. Some of it is reflected back to space before it ever gets a chance to be absorbed. And this happens when there are light-colored surfaces such as clouds, snow, or ice. Now, this incoming or reflected sunlight is not absorbed by the surface, so it doesn't have a chance to warm anything on the Earth. Thus, it's cooler on a cloudy day and warmer on a sunny day. Point number 2, less well known is the fact that the Earth loses energy to space about as rapidly as it gains energy from incoming sunlight. And we call this energy that's lost to space infrared radiation. And it's just a term for the energy that is a different wavelength than the visible energy from sunlight. This infrared radiation moves out of solid objects, it moves out from water, it moves out from air. It even leaves human bodies and animals and plants and people like you and me. So if you want to feel infrared energy, put your hand up very close to your face, but not touching your face. And both your hand and your face will feel warmer. And it's because you're feeling or sensing the infrared radiation that is emanating or leaving your body. This outbound infrared radiation goes in all directions, and eventually it escapes to space. However, there are invisible gases in the atmosphere that can block the escape of this infrared radiation from the Earth into space. The most important gases that can do this are water vapor and carbon dioxide. When there is more water vapor or carbon dioxide in the air around us, these gases intercept and absorb that infrared radiation that otherwise would make its way to space. As a result, these gases themselves warm up and in turn radiate more infrared radiation, some of it back towards Earth's surface, some of it out to space. The infrared radiation that's sent back towards the Earth's surface from these warmed gases causes the Earth's energy content to increase. And this is something called the greenhouse effect, because it resembles what happens in a greenhouse or your car with the windows rolled up on a sunny day. The sunlight comes in through the clear glass, it warms the objects inside the greenhouse or your car. Those objects then radiate infrared energy. That infrared energy can't escape back through the glass, and as a result, the average heat content inside the greenhouse or your car and its temperature, therefore, increases. This greenhouse effect is really an example of the third point, the final point, that is the balance of the incoming energy and the outgoing energy is what determines Earth's average heat content and controls our climate. If the amount of sunlight energy absorbed by the Earth is exactly balanced by the amount of infrared radiation escaping the planet, the Earth is in energy balance, and the overall average energy content is constant. In this case, average climate would not change over time. But as described above for both incoming sunlight and outgoing infrared energy, things can happen in the atmosphere or at the surface of the Earth that can change this balance of incoming and outgoing radiation and throw Earth's average energy balance out of whack. And average climates can and do change over time. What has all this got to do with you and me and our children and grandchildren? Well, scientists measuring the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere have determined that our burning of coal and oil and natural gas, as well as cutting down vast areas of forest around the world, has caused the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to increase from 265 parts of carbon dioxide per million parts of other air molecules before the Industrial Revolution to almost 400 parts per million carbon dioxide today. Now, that average increase in carbon dioxide has caused an energy imbalance, that greenhouse effect, causing the Earth to warm. And with the warmer temperatures, more liquid water has evaporated, causing more of an energy imbalance and more of a buildup of temperature on the surface, greater than that initially triggered by the increase in carbon dioxide. Of course, as with any measurement, there are uncertainties about how much and how little. How much of an increase in carbon dioxide will cause how much of an increase in the energy content of the Earth will cause how much global warming and climate change. And subject to even more uncertainty, what might we do about all of this? But I trust that, I think if you remember that that global warming and climate change are a result of the imbalance between incoming energy and outgoing energy, energy coming into and leaving the Earth, then I think you'll be better prepared to evaluate new information as it's discovered and presented, and when given the opportunity, be able to make better informed and more intelligent decisions. Madam Toastmaster.